The Washington Post has come under severe criticism for its editorial opposition to a pardon for Edward Snowden. The Post used the material Snowden provided, which led to the paper winning a Pulitzer for its coverage. The Guardian, New York Times, and The Intercept are on record saying Edward Snowden did the country a service for disclosing NSA documents about the government spying on Americans. Activists are asking President Obama to pardon Snowden, although it's not expected the president will follow through on that. For more, let's turn to John McAfee tonight. He is the founder of antivirus software and cyber expert. Mr. McAfee, great to have you with us tonight. You have commented on Snowden's situation in the past, and I want to know your thoughts. Should the president, and many people think that Snowden is a hero and he did a great service to the country, although technically with the Justice Department they view him as a criminal. What should the president do? What are your thoughts on this tonight?
Well, first off, I'd like to comment on the Washington Post story. This is indicative of the American media. The American media is suffering. The internet is taking everything away from them. And so the Washington Post is able to say, like as you said, the Guardian, the New York Times say he should be pardoned. The Washington Post gets to come out and say, we are the first newspaper ever to ask for prosecution of one of our sources. Now think of that. I mean, that's headlines there. This is the problem. It has nothing to do with truth. It has to do with selling newspapers, selling media, selling eyeballs. Here, what are the facts? The Washington Post said that Edward Snowden did no one a service, even telling the American people that the NSA was spying on them, which is radically illegal and outside their purview, was not really that illegal. They are stretching facts. What did Edward Snowden do? He told me and you and everybody in the world that the NSA was reaching far beyond its bounds of legality and spying on American citizens. Also, in its spying on other agencies, it was using techniques that were outrageous. The New York Times says the same thing. The Guardian said the same thing. Edward Snowden is in fact a hero because he told me, he told me the facts that our government was spying on us. Had we not known that, what might have happened? The NSA could have reached further and further and further until they're inside our bedrooms, inside our bathrooms, watching our children take baths. This is the problem. It has to do with headlines. Everybody is going one way. The Washington Post goes, well, we will sell more papers by saying he should be prosecuted. And we can also say we're the first to do this.
You know, Snowden will always take the criticism that he chose the wrong channels, that he could have worked within the system to bring this to light. Do you believe that?
Had he worked within the system, I know exactly what would have happened, because I have tried working within the system many times. So have many of my compatriots in the hacking world. He would have been arrested and simply charged with even having the information. So, no, you cannot work within a corrupt system. We're living in a corrupt system, made more corrupt by a corrupt media. He did the only thing that he could have done.
Do you think that President Obama will pardon him? Should he pardon him?
He definitely should, but he will not. He is hogtied by his political party, by the expectations of the left wing of our government. No, he will not, but he should, and shame on him for not doing that. Shame on him.
Well, he's either a criminal hack or he's a hero. And do you think popular opinion is with Edward Snowden tonight? I mean, I don't know if there's any polling out there, but your thoughts, is your gut instinct that Americans believe that this guy is more hero than criminal?
Well, everybody that I talk to, keep in mind, I'm in the world of computer security. I know many of the hackers, both white hat and black hat. All of the technical people believe that he is a hero. Everybody who has any common sense, by listening to what he has told you, did it help you? Did it hurt you? Did it hurt anyone to find out that the NSA, our government, is spying on us? No, it only hurt the government. And it's only the government that wants to prosecute him for pointing out that they did something illegal. He is a whistleblower. We should praise whistleblowers. But because it's the government that he's blowing the whistle on, and the government has the power to incarcerate him and punish him, then the government says, no, he is a traitor. Please, people, see the truth of this. It is so obvious. The man is a hero. End of story.
Mr. McAfee, you have any comments on his moves after being on the run and the way he has chosen to manage this?
Well, if I were him, I would have stayed in Hong Kong instead of going to Russia. Number one, Hong Kong is a much warmer climate, a place where intellectual technocrats are welcomed. He could have faded into the back street, been free, and gone anywhere he wanted. Going to Russia, I think, was a mistake. They kept him from leaving the country. He was trying to get to Ecuador. Mm-hmm. I understand why. Ecuador is a fairly advanced country in South America that literally despises America and would never turn a citizen back over to America.
Mr. McAfee, great to have you with us tonight. I appreciate your time and expertise on this subject. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
You bet.
Bye-bye.
And that is our news tonight. Follow me on Twitter at News with Ed and like me on the Facebook page, WeGotEd.com. I'm Ed Schultz reporting tonight from Washington. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow night.
Good morning on this Friday, September 16th. And the Wall Street Journal and other publications are reporting that every member of the House Intelligence Committee has signed a letter to the president urging him not to pardon Edward Snowden. You may remember him as the former National Security Agency contractor who prompted that overhaul of government surveillance programs after he leaked the stolen records about the agency in 2013. 23 members of Congress have signed this letter, every member of that committee, and all this comes as a new movie, an Oliver Stone movie about the life of Edward Snowden is released today. What do you think? Should President Obama pardon Edward Snowden? If you think yes, call this number, 202-748-8000. If you think not, if you don't think the president should pardon Edward Snowden, call this number, 202-748-8001. And if not by phone, you can weigh in via social media. Our Twitter handle is CSpanWJ, and our Facebook comments are coming in at facebook.com/CSpan. So if you go to the website of the American Civil Liberties Union, the ACLU, you'll see this posting by the executive director there. He's Anthony Romero. Obama should pardon Edward Snowden, and we're launching a campaign to make it happen, and we've got a lot of help. Mr. Romero writes that thanks to Edward Snowden's act of conscience, we made historic strides in our fight for surveillance reform and improved cybersecurity. That's why, ahead of this week's release of the Oliver Stone movie, Snowden, we are unveiling a major effort calling on the president to pardon the NSA whistleblower. They point out here at the ACLU's site that they're being joined in this campaign by Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch, and they already have an impressive list. They call it an impressive list of more than 100 former national security officials, legal scholars, tech and business leaders, human rights activists, and artists on board. And they include some of the names here: George Soros, also Steve Wozniak, the co-founder of Apple, Jimmy Wales, who is the founder of Wikipedia. They have Melvin Goodman, a former CIA division chief, on the list, as well as Bruce Ackerman, the Yale Law School professor, Eve Ensler, the writer, and Daniel Radcliffe, the actor. So that's all at aclu.org. Here is Edward Snowden in his own words. He spoke this week with the Guardian newspapers about his situation and why he should be given a pardon.
This isn't about me. It's about us. But the public, by and large, cares about these issues far more than I anticipated. And so it's led to this wellspring of support that I'm incredibly fortunate to receive. But more than anything, the key here is, what kind of society do we want to live in? Now, I don't run the campaign. Again, I'm not involved in it. But what we're seeing is a conversation about the war on whistleblowers that's been occurring easily for the last decade, but of course has escalated under the most recent president, who brought charges against more whistleblowers than all other administrations combined. And this is a chance for the public to have their say and to think about how they feel about this. And the only thing I can do is stand to the side and be thankful.
Eric Holder said recently that you'd done a public service. You know, looking at it from the outside, you'd think that would help make the case for having a pardon from Obama.
If not for these disclosures, if not for these revelations, we would be worse off. Yes, there are laws on the books that say one thing, But perhaps this is why the pardon power exists, for the exceptions, for the things that may seem unlawful in letters on a page. But when we look at them morally, when we look at them ethically, and when we look at the results, it seems obvious that these were necessary things. These were vital things.
Interview there with the Guardian. And here's a look at the letter from the House Intelligence Committee. Simply put, they write, "Dear President Obama, we urge you not to pardon Edward Snowden, who perpetrated the largest and most damaging public disclosure of classified information in our nation's history. If Mr. Snowden returns from Russia, where he fled in 2013, the U.S. government must hold him accountable for his actions." A lot more written about this story, the push for a pardon. We'll have White House reaction a little bit later. Movie's coming out tonight, an Oliver Stone movie called Snowden. But your calls now. Mike from Okatee, is it Okatee, South Carolina?
Correct.
Go ahead, sir. What do you think?
Okay, I do not think they should pardon Snowden. If each of us in this society can make a decision as to what we think is appropriate, it's a strange thing. I think if you do it legally, if he had done it the correct way by surfacing a concern he had, it would have been addressed appropriately. And then to say it's not about him, it's always been about him in his mind and his right to do whatever he thought, regardless of what he signed in his employment contract or anything, in which he agreed not to do exactly what he did. So I think if we're totally unbounded, and I do agree that each of us do have some rights, but this is such a different thing that I think he needs to be held accountable, or else every person will be running their own way.
The voice there of Mike in South Carolina. We go on to Prudence, who is in Ogden, Utah. Prudence, what do you think? Should President Obama pardon Edward Snowden?
Absolutely.
How come?
He's probably one of the few patriots out there. Plus, as an American, I was raised to think that my opinion counted on everything, and that if I did what I considered to be the best thing for my country and all the other things, they don't have to keep us in the dark. We're not, that old story about keep us in the dark and see us, what. That's what they want to do. We're supposed to just walk around, look stupid, and pay our taxes, and let any member of Congress do what they want. And what they want is to keep business as usual, whatever they're doing, and they don't really necessarily care for my country the way I do.
Prudence, let me throw a quote at you from the letter from the House Intelligence Committee. They said that Mr. Snowden is not a patriot. He is not a whistleblower. He is a criminal. Where is that line drawn in your view?
I am not sure, but it would take a lot of looking at what he's doing and what they're doing. They simply want to keep us unknowing about everything, and they want to know everything. I guess that's some kind of power, but it doesn't particularly impress me. I want my country to be run the way the ideals of my country were given to me when I was a child and I was growing up. And when I was a child and growing up was a lot longer ago than you would imagine. And I really do not see the great benefit of secrets. And the secrets are always there for other people to know. But as U.S. citizens who are supposed to vote and who are supposed to know and who are supposed to be educated by our country to know what our country is and what our ideals were, I just simply cannot imagine that I'm supposed to sit here feeling really stupid, never know anything. And after you see what every time there is a whistleblower, they want to string him up. You can't know anything. And for the military, they classify everything. It's like that old story about how the guy that he just shot everybody, and he said he'd let God sort him out. Well, that seems to be the way it is with the classification in the military. I can remember discovering, and not the first day of my career when I worked for the military many years ago, that I was the Daily News was classified. the Daily News, because I was hearing it in one place. I couldn't discuss it in the office with other people, and all they were talking about was what was the news that I had heard on television. Of course, then we don't get too much news anymore. I suppose that takes care of the problem.
All right, Prudence, thank you for calling. I want to get some other voices in. Alice, including Alice from Kalamazoo, Michigan. Alice, what do you think? Should the president pardon Mr. Snowden?
Absolutely not. He broke the law. Now, if this is supposed to be the land of the laws, if he broke the law, he need to go to prison. He probably put a whole bunch of people's lives in jeopardy. So why should he be pardoned for doing wrong? If that be the case, why don't you put all of the so-called lawmakers in prison? Because I'm pretty sure they're breaking the laws, too.
All right, that was Alice from Michigan. Jerry now from Boston. Go ahead, Jerry.
Hello.
Good morning, sir.
Hello there?
Yes.
Hello? Hello.
Jerry, Jerry, if you could turn the sound down on your set, we'll hear you a lot better, sir.
Yep, I'll turn it down.
Okay, go ahead. What do you think about this question about whether Edward Snowden should be pardoned?
Well, sir, I think that he knew what he was doing, sir. You know, people take, they do fingerprints. They do fingerprints, and they do everything else to get to be a part of that NSA thing. Now, he had his dad help him from all the way from California, wherever he was from, smuggle him over to China, smuggle him over to Russia, so Putin could stick his fingers in Obama's eyes, because him and Obama didn't get along. If he got along with Obama, Putin would have said, you did something terrible to the United States, and we need to turn you back around and send you back to the United States of America, so that you can stand trial for the things that you've done. But Putin did it on spite, despite President Barack Obama. So they kept him over there, like saying nah, like some little kids, when they knew that man should have been brought back here, sir, and brought to justice. And I hope everybody that's calling in believes that, can understand what I'm trying to say. It was just a nah, because Putin does not like Obama, and that's all I wanted to say, sir, and I'm calling from Boston, Massachusetts.
All right, that was Jerry from Boston. Lots more of your calls coming, but a little bit more from the papers on all this. The Washington Post writes that the intelligence panel in the House rejected arguments that Snowden acted out of conscience and insisted that he should be held accountable for his actions. In their letter, the lawmakers reminded Obama that he has said in a news conference in 2013, quote, "I don't think Mr. Snowden was a patriot." In short, they wrote on the committee, we agree with you. Mr. Snowden is not a patriot. He is not a whistleblower. He is a criminal. The lawmakers, they write, faulted Snowden in their report for leaking material rather than reporting his concerns about surveillance overreach to oversight officials like the committee or the inspector general. They said he began his massive download 2 weeks after a spat with a supervisor. The vast majority of the documents he leaked had nothing to do with programs that affected privacy and civil liberties, they said, but pertained to military and intelligence programs of great interest to America's enemies. A little bit more from the Post. They said that Snowden failed basic annual training for NSA employees on a key provision of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, FISA, which included explanations of the privacy protections related to PRISM. That's another program whose details were revealed as a result of Snowden's leak. And the ACLU's Ben Wisner here, a lawyer who represents Snowden, slammed the committee's letter and their report summary. There's no there, said Wisner. Let's hear from Arthur now. Arthur is in Memphis. Good morning, sir.
No, I don't think he should be pardoned, because I think he's behind that hacking of the DNC. I think he helped Russia do that. So no, I definitely don't think he should be pardoned.
All righty, let's hear from Johnny now. Johnny's calling from Nashville, Tennessee. Hey, Johnny.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Just a couple quick statements, if I could. To answer your question earlier that you asked, where do you draw the line between criminal and patriot?
Right.
I guess that depends on which side of the fence you stand on. Like I said, I don't think that the man should be prosecuted. If it wasn't for people like him bringing things like this out to the forefront, we would never know what big government was doing to begin with. So, as far as that goes, I guess it would depend on which side of the fence you stand on, whether you're the one that stand to get in trouble or you're the one that's going to get people in trouble. So, the second thing is that most everything that the man did put out there, I really didn't see. I'm former military myself. I really didn't see a whole lot of anything that was really going to be very damaging to national security in what was released. The big deal was the fact was that, from the way I see it, is that people got caught doing what they shouldn't have been doing. This administration's done this time and time again, over and over again. And it's just about time that somebody just put them in their place and let them know that we are subject to a nation of laws. And that goes for anybody and everybody. And, from all the way down to the bum on the street, all the way up to the elite that are currently running the White House. So I appreciate your time. Thank you for taking my call.
Johnny, thanks for being part of the conversation this morning. Melody is holding on from Omaha, Nebraska now. Good morning to you, Melody. Should the president pardon Edward Snowden?
Absolutely not. I think that he should stay in Russia with Putin. He gave him his 3 computers to get all the information out of. I also believe that he is probably behind helping the Russians get all that information for the DNC to hack into it. And I don't think he's a patriot at all. I think he's a criminal. And I think he should stay with Putin. That's where, and also, everybody wants to know everything, but yet we don't know nothing about Trump. We don't know anything, and these people want to vote for Trump, but what do we really know about him? Nothing. Thank you.
All right, Melody from Omaha there. Jim writes, going to social media now at Twitter, can a Snowden hater tell me one national security secret he disclosed that puts our nation at risk? That's Jim there. And Richard writes, evidence will show Mr. Snowden seriously hurt America. I predict little chance that PBO, President Barack Obama, I guess he means there, will grant him a pardon. Here is the White House press secretary now, Josh Earnest, on this effort to pardon Mr. Snowden.
I don't think it makes sense because Edward Snowden is not a whistleblower. There actually is a specific process that is well established and well protected that allows whistleblowers to raise concerns that they have, particularly when it relates to confidential or classified information, to do so in a way that protects the national security secrets of the United States. That is not what Mr. Snowden did. And his conduct put American lives at risk. And it risked American national security. And that's why the policy of the Obama administration is that Mr. Snowden should return to the United States and face the very serious charges that he's facing. He will, of course, be afforded the rights that are due to every American citizen in our criminal justice system, but we believe that he should return to the United States and face those charges.
Has he or any of his representatives made a reach out of any sort to the president?
I'm not aware of any conversations or any communications between Mr. Snowden and the President of the United States.
And more of your voices out there at Facebook this Friday morning. Dennis writes, yes, he should be pardoned. Look at Hillary Clinton, the email scandal. The sad thing is she is hands off and running for president. Anna writes, his administration has prosecuted more whistleblowers than any other. Hard to believe he'll pardon one. Reginald writes, I suppose it's a real question. Yes, he should. I don't agree with the method he did it in, but he definitely deserves a pardon. Bob writes at Facebook, we have it all backwards when it comes to whistleblowers. They expose the truth, knowing full well of the consequences, and since today's truth is more hidden than overt, they become pariahs instead of the heroes that they really are. Let's hear from Isabella now. Isabella's been waiting from Weston, Massachusetts now. Good morning. Should the president pardon Mr. Snowden?
Absolutely, and that's just the beginning. I think the man is a hero. He's an American hero. And, not only does he deserve a pardon, he deserves the thanks of this nation. I hope someday to welcome him home in a ticker tape parade in New York City somewhere. I think the people who should be prosecuted, frankly, are the government officials and the government employees who violated our laws and our Constitution. These are the things that Snowden exposed. He didn't commit these acts. They committed them. They're the criminals. Thank you.
Thanks for calling. Let's hear from Calvin now. Calvin's in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, and kudos to the continued excellent job you and the rest of the C-SPAN team do. I do not think Mr. Snowden should be pardoned. I think it's interesting that he chose to go to Russia as opposed to some of the quote-unquote allies of the United States, like a European or South American or even African nation. But on a separate but related note, I think someone who President Obama should pardon is the Honorable Marcus Garvey, who led the Universal Negro Improvement Association and the African Community Leagues at the turn of the century. He was deported back to Jamaica. He was the poster boy for J. Edgar Hoover's early COINTELPRO program, and there is a movement currently being conducted by a number of lawyers to get Marcus Garvey pardoned because he was convicted back in the early 20s and deported to Jamaica. His sentence was commuted, but he was never pardoned.
Right.
So,
Calvin, we covered a news conference I think several weeks ago with Marcus Garvey's son. If you want to watch that, go to cspan.org in that search bar, type Marcus Garvey, and I'm sure you'll see that event. We go on to Smith now. Smith is calling from Upper Marlboro, Maryland. Thanks for weighing in. What do you think?
Hello. Thank you for taking my call. This is what I think. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
Now, this is what I think. Considering the justice system of the country, I think President Obama should, I use the word should, pardon him. But he cannot pardon him. But he should. But now look at Hillary Clinton. No one is doing anything about her. Like I said, he should be pardoned, but he cannot because of the system. He cannot be pardoned. Because if Donald Trump should win, Donald Trump will definitely pardon him and probably give him a seat in one of his chambers. You understand? But like I said, the system cannot pardon him, but he should be pardoned. And voting Hillary Clinton in is going to change the justice system because if she can go away with what she did, then anyone can go away with what they did too. But like I said, it's all about the system. President should pardon him, but he cannot pardon him. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say, but that's what I think.
All right. Thanks for calling, Smith, from Maryland there. A bit of reporting from The Atlantic. They remind us that in May, Eric Holder, the former Attorney General here in the U.S. and a close friend of President Obama, said that while Snowden's leak of classified information was, quote, inappropriate and illegal, the whistleblower had performed a public service. But the two people next in line for power to pardon don't agree. Donald Trump last year called Snowden a, quote, bad guy and suggested he be executed. Democratic nominee Hillary Clinton says Snowden should return to the U.S. to face trial. We have James on the line now. James is calling from Brandon, Mississippi. Welcome to the program.
Yes, I don't think he needs to be pardoned. I think I ain't a president. I'm not a Democrat. I vote for the person I think God needs to be put in there on the job. Ever since Barack Obama has been president, all the presidents has blamed him for everything he's ever done. And I'm a veteran. And who put us in the war 15 or 16 years ago was Mr. Bush. And nobody brings that up. But they always run around and bring up what Barack Obama's done wrong. They never say nothing about what he's done good. It's so many people on health care now has not been on health care in their life because they could not afford the health care. And military people served the country, fought the war in Vietnam, didn't get credit for nothing, come back, and some people comes back, and everybody on the side of the road with the flags waving. I ain't a Democrat. I'm not a president. I'm an independent person. God didn't create all of us. I don't care if you're black, white, Mexican, all. We all serve God or the devil. And I think he's doing a good job. Miss Clinton, I think, would be a good president. In my book, Mr. Clinton was a good president, and he bought wages up. And all the Democrats want to do raise minimum wage. Who can live on $7.25 an hour?
All right, James, thank you for calling. John is calling now from Tucson, Arizona. Two lines on the screen here, one for yes and one for no. John is calling on the yes line. John, why do you think the president should pardon Mr. Snowden?
Well, just in a general term, I think in terms of individual freedoms, most people don't understand that they really don't know how free they are or how free they are not until they move in a direction away from the masses. Look at the soldiers, sailors, Marines, Coast Guardsmen, and other people in the federal government. First of all, there's no regulation that requires them to disobey a lawful order or not to release bad information or illegal information that they may come in contact with. No requirement really that they have to report that. On the other hand, they are not supposed to disobey an unlawful order. Now, where does that put Snowden? Basic point is, you don't know, none of you, how free you are until you move seriously in a direction away from the masses. Thank you very much.
Thanks for calling. And Stephen is on the line now from Sioux Falls in South Dakota. Good morning, Stephen.
Yeah, hi, and thank you for taking my call. This Snowden, I would say, no, he doesn't need to be pardoned. What we need is to give him a medal for exposing the criminality going on in these wars for global domination, as has been brought out by Republican President, five-star General Eisenhower with his military-industrial complex, and before that with Smedley Butler, Marine General, in 1935 with War is a Racket, saying that these wars are for big business, not for our American freedoms. And if you look at it, as Edward Snowden is pointing out, our freedoms are not being fought for. We are, even if people are well-intentioned joining our military and fighting for our freedom, that is not the effect that they are having. So I would hope that with what Snowden is bringing out, people would be inclined to look at this in a fresh light and recognize what is really going on. We're being lied to, and I don't like being lied to. Billy Mitchell, General Billy Mitchell, forecast the invasion by the Japanese at Pearl Harbor long before it happened. And he also was demoted for standing up to the top brass at the time and then got reinstated. So this is history. It is the system as it is. And those of us who have eyes open can see it. Thank you.
Thanks for calling. And we have Matt on the line. Matt is in Montera, California. Thanks for getting up so early, Matt. What do you think?
Well, I see a lot of misinformation here. Overall, I think that Snowden should be pseudo-pardoned because what he wants is to be at least not tried under the Espionage Act. Because what happens is that under the Espionage Act, there's no records of the trial, so nothing becomes a public record. And what he wants to do is take a public interest defense with what he did. He is willing to serve jail time. He just wants to be able to put it on the record what he did, why he did it, and get a fair trial under the laws of this country.
So what's a pseudo-pardon? How would that work?
Well, like, not try him under the Espionage Act, but try him under the just a normal trial that has public records. Under the Espionage Act, all treason is classified.
I see. Thank you for calling, Matt. Sorry to cut you off. I thought you were finished there. Here is the voice now of Adam Schiff, Democrat from California, and the Intelligence Committee's top Democrat there. He talks about all of this discussion about a pardon being pushed for Edward Snowden.
Well, I think one of the facts that really leaps out to me, because it's so at odds with the Snowden narrative, as he is telling it, is the vast majority of what he took has nothing to do with American privacy or the privacy rights of other people around the world. The majority of what he took, in fact, has to do with military secrets and defense secrets, and I think that is very much at odds with the narrative that he wants to tell, that he is a whistleblower. In fact, Snowden knew about the whistleblower provisions and knew how to take advantage of them, and in fact had taken advantage of the opportunity to talk to people within the proper chain, not about privacy interests, though. That's the interesting thing. So he knew the processes that were available for him, but instead stole all of this information, went to first Hong Kong and then Russia, two places both under Chinese and Russian authority that have very little by way of privacy. And so we do intend to make public what we can. We've asked for the declassification of the entire report, and we think it's very important that the public have that information.
Let you know we taped that interview yesterday as part of our Newsmakers program, so the segment with Adam Schiff will run in its entirety on Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern and then at 6 p.m. Eastern right here on C-SPAN. And Helen is on the line from St. David, Arizona. Good morning, Helen.
Good morning. No, he should not be pardoned. He's a traitor. And right now he's in Russia, and as far as I'm concerned, he can stay there. And I happen to be a center-left Democrat who voted for Obama twice, and I want Obama to refuse to pardon him. Thank you.
Thanks for calling. Dan is on the line from Kingston, Pennsylvania, northeastern PA. Good morning, Dan.
Good morning. Thank you for C-SPAN. This man is obviously a traitor. I mean, he knew that he stepped outside of the whistleblower format. He knew the chain of command, obviously. I was curious about what's the ulterior motive of these individuals that are seeking for this man to be pardoned. I think, in my opinion, if they can get him pardoned, then why not work on getting Hillary pardoned before the election day? You know, there you go. That's all. That's my opinion, and I believe that's what these people are aiming at. Thank you very much.
Thanks for calling, Dan. A little bit more from the Atlantic piece about what Mr. Snowden told The Guardian. He has repeatedly said he wants to come back to the U.S., and in this interview he said, in the fullness of time, I think I will end up back home, and history, he said, will be on his side. Quote, once the officials who felt like they had to protect their programs, their positions, their careers, have left government and we start looking at things from a more historical perspective, he said, it will be pretty clear that this war on whistleblowers did not serve the interests of the U.S., rather it harms them. Kevin, calling now from Waldorf, Maryland. Good morning.
Hello, how are you doing today?
Doing okay. How are you?
I'm still above ground.
Then that's a good day, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm a 30-year Marine veteran, and I hear people calling up talking about he's a hero. I mean, there are people that are buried in Arlington that are heroes, and I don't think Mr. Snowden even rises to that level. Now, getting to back what he happened to accomplish by taking them documents, even if you want to argue that maybe the material is not sensitive and it's not this and that, but he knowingly took something that he wasn't supposed to have unauthorized, and he left the country. Now, his intent was there, and they want to compare him to Mrs. Clinton. Now, she didn't run to Russia. She didn't run anyway, and she went through the process. Now, was she given special quarters because of who she is? Well, that's a whole nother argument. There's only one criminal law or criminal violation that's in the Constitution, and that's treason. If you read what treason is, it applies to Snowden. It doesn't apply to Hillary Clinton. That is the only criminal violation law in the United States that is in the U.S. Constitution, treason. And that's what he did. He knowingly did it. And I'm not going to call him a hero. I'm not going to call him anything. If nothing else, what he did was wrong, and Putin doesn't like us, so he kept him. So I challenge Mr. Trump and everybody else, that's all the people who are voting for Trump seems to like Mr. Putin. So if Snowden happens to be in there and Trump happens to get elected, let him get an opportunity to pardon him, and let's see if Snowden comes back for Trump and if Putin sends him back. I would like to see that, and then we'll deal with it. Thank you.
We have about 10, 12 minutes or so for more of your calls. Joe is calling from Omaha. Nebraska. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning. As a retired military officer, no, do not pardon him. He could not have lived in Russia without being held up to by the KGB, either knowingly or unknowingly. We want to crucify a presidential candidate because she unwittingly or knowingly misused information, and this individual gave away information and lived in Russia? No, not without the knowledge of the KGB, and we all know that. Thank you.
Thanks for calling. Normally we don't dabble in movie reviews too much on the Washington Journal, but here's a couple for the Snowden movie. It's called Snowden. It's an Oliver Stone picture, and it comes out today in theaters. The Wall Street Journal says a complex life turned to stone. That's their headline to this review. The Weekend Arts section of the New York Times, security made him insecure. The man whose disclosures made us look over our shoulders. Here is a short piece, runs about a minute and a quarter, from the trailer to the movie Snowden.
You're making people very happy. Thank you.
You ready for a little action?
Oh, this looks juicy. How is this all possible? Think of it as a Google search, except instead of searching only what people make public, we're also looking at everything they don't. Emails, chats, SMS, whatever.
Yeah, but which people?
The whole kingdom, Snow White.
The NSA is really tracking every cell phone in the world.
And a couple of more here. USA Today, Snowden guilty, they write, of betraying its audience. Oliver Stone's latest biopic is routine and covers no new ground. And then in the Washington Post style section, Snowden's a hero to some and a traitor to others. A new film could tip the scales in his favor in the tradition of the thin blue line, and making a murderer. Overturned, they have upside down. Overturned by the court of public opinion? They are asking that question in the style section of the Post. That movie out today in theaters. And David is calling from North Carolina. Todd, North Carolina. Good morning.
Hey, yeah, I think he should be pardoned, and let me give you my basis on that.
Okay.
Is the fact that I comment every day for 4 years now on C-SPAN's Facebook, and some of my comments are getting deleted, especially the video comments that we make and cut and paste. And is there a criteria in which you're operating under? And none of this really came so apparent until Zeffenberg and Obama had their meeting a couple months ago.
So you're saying exactly what got deleted?
My comments on this on Facebook consistently get deleted. Sometimes it's only after 5 comments. Other times it's just real pertinent information.
Yeah, we don't exactly have control over that, David, so we're going to...
I've tried every avenue of government to find out who does have control.
Yeah.
And right now, Ted Cruz is fighting for internet. Would you explain that for us?
Yeah, actually, there's a piece that I was going to get to, and it has to do with the continuing resolution. So the government funding, much of it runs out at the end of this month, and the Wall Street Journal talks about an internet plan slowing down this spending deal that they're trying to work on. They call it a divide over whether to transfer much of the U.S.'s oversight of the internet to a nonprofit as complicated talks on the Hill on a spending bill needed to keep the government running. A push this week from Ted Cruz to stop the transition has become an issue in negotiations over this legislation to fund efforts to combat Zika and keep the government running past the 30th. Conservatives have been working to block or delay the transfer of authority to the Internet's address book to a nonprofit called the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers. The California-based organization already oversees a number of technical functions that help computers locate servers and websites, and they write that some Republicans are worried that turning over authority to a group composed of Carl Icahn, they're saying here, would, let me see if I can find the place, Icahn and other non-governmental organizations could allow online activities. The nonprofit has been handling the Internet's technical operations, including the domain name system, under a contract with the U.S. government. And I shouldn't have said Carl Icahn. It's the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers. That's what they're calling Icahn here. So hope that helps you a little bit. Sorry for the stumble there. There was a lot to read. Let's get back to the calls. Matthew from Alexandria, Virginia. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I'm a 24-year Marine Corps veteran. I've been intelligence officer, and I worked at the NSA for many years, and I don't think Edward Snowden should be pardoned. There's a proper mechanism. It's well established within the intelligence community for whistleblowing. He doesn't fall into the category of a whistleblower. He falls in the category of someone who is basically a coward, who took information, as the other caller pointed out, wasn't his, took it to another country, instead of standing before the man and saying, hey, there's a problem here, I've identified a problem, and we're going to and face any charges that are coming his way, or more than likely have the NSA look at the information that he provided and say, hey, we made some mistakes here and we need to correct ourselves, which is what they do on a daily basis. Nobody walks through the NSA doors in the morning and says, hey, I can't wait to get in this morning so I can collect information on my neighbor. They just don't do that. They're good Americans. They're working hard. Everything they do is rooted in the Fourth Amendment. There's a lot of oversight, but there are always missteps. Those things happen. It wouldn't surprise me, however, if Obama pardoned him, because it would fit with his legacy of weakness. So that's all I have to say.
All right, thank you. Let's hear from Eric now. Eric's in Compton, California. Good morning.
Good morning, America. Yes, I agree. It's not that Snowden should be pardoned. We should, as a country, learn to show mercy and have compassion. What we're dealing with is a lot of misinformation. This information that Snowden got is just digital data. That doesn't mean nothing. We're using this information to hold it over everybody's heads. We need to clean this system up. This is the year of Jubilee, universal pardon. This is why the Liberty Bell has a crack in it. There's a Bible verse on the Liberty Bell that every 50 years we're supposed to do a universal pardon. As we know how the history of this country is, we've never done it. We are being bogged down by misinformation. That's why you see Donald Trump and them doing so good in the election, because of the misinformation. There's one God's honest truth. And if you're not standing on God's honest truth, are you biting off of the apple? Apple, evil, misinformation. And that's what we're experiencing here. We all need a pardon from our past bad behavior. We got to learn to pardon bad behavior. That's what's going on in America. We got to learn to show compassion and mercy in the name. That's what fixes the problem.
Okay, voice of Eric there. A couple more comments at Facebook this morning. John writes, yes, Hillary Clinton was pardoned for a lot worse. In his case, he's the messenger, the whistleblower. You're never supposed to, quote, shoot them. Our Gloria writes that pardon him for what reasons? After his trial, he may not need a pardon. A jury of his peers may find him not guilty. And Skip writes, oh, hell no. He is a traitor. Let him stay in Russia with his friend Putin. If he gets back to America, put him on trial. Let's talk to Nilo now. Nilo is in Clinton, Maryland. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing fine. How are you, sir?
I'm great. I believe he should be pardoned because the simple fact is I think he did it for the people, and he did it because he was there, he was inside, and he knew what was going on. And personally, I believe that they negotiated with him enough before they would bring him back to America, and now they're seeing what we think before they bring him back. But if Obama is, quote-unquote, cleaning up the mess that the government has made over and over and over, then why not pardon him? I've seen worse.
Okay. Thank you for calling, Nilo, and thanks for everybody who called. We will do this again on the back end of the program, probably at about 9:20, 9:25 Eastern or so. We had a good number of calls. We have a lot more material to get through, but we do need to wrap up this first segment. And so back to the Edward Snowden question, and if you go to the ACLU's website, they have this. Obama should pardon Edward Snowden. We're launching a campaign to make it happen, and we've got a lot of help. The posting is from Anthony Romero, who runs the ACLU, and he says that thanks to Edward Snowden's act of conscience, we've made historic strides in our fight for surveillance reform and improved cybersecurity. That's why, ahead of this week's release of the Oliver Stone movie, Snowden, we're unveiling a major effort calling on President Obama to pardon the NSA whistleblower. The ACLU, they write, is being joined in this campaign by Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch, and they already have an impressive list, their words, impressive list of over 100 former national security officials, legal scholars, tech and business leaders, human rights activists, and artists on board. And some of the names on their list include George Soros, also the co-founder of Apple, Steve Wozniak, Jimmy Wales, the founder of Wikipedia, Melvin Goodman, a former CIA division chief, Daniel Radcliffe, the actor, and Bruce Ackerman of Yale Law School. He's a professor there. So that's what the ACLU has put out. And here's a little bit from Edward Snowden this week in an interview with the Guardian about why he should be given a pardon.
This isn't about me. It's about us. But the public, by and large, cares about these issues far more than I anticipated. And so it's led to this wellspring of support that I'm incredibly fortunate to receive. But more than anything, the key here is, what kind of society do we want to live in? Now, I don't run the campaign. Again, I'm not involved in it. But what we're seeing is a conversation about the war on whistleblowers that's been occurring easily for the last decade, but of course has escalated under the most recent president, who brought charges against more whistleblowers than all other administrations combined. And this is a chance for the public to have their say and to think about how they feel about this. And the only thing I can do is stand to the side and be thankful.
Eric Holder said recently that you'd done a public service. You know, looking at it from the outside, you think that would help make the case for having a pardon from Obama?
If not for these disclosures, if not for these revelations, we would be worse off. Yes, there are laws on the books that say one thing, but perhaps this is why the pardon power exists, for the exceptions, for the things that may seem unlawful in letters on a page. But when we look at them morally, when we look at them ethically, and when we look at the results, it seems obvious that these were necessary things, these were vital things.
So here is a letter that the U.S. House Intelligence Committee put out just this week. They wrote to President Obama and they say that we urge you not to pardon Edward Snowden, who perpetrated the largest and most damaging public disclosure of classified information in our nation's history. If Mr. Snowden returns from Russia, they write, where he fled in 2013, the U.S. government must hold him accountable for his actions. That was signed by all members of the House Intelligence Committee, 23 in all. And here's a little bit from the Washington Post this Friday morning before we get to your calls. It came out, this letter, at the same time as a report did from the committee. The intelligence panel, they write, rejected arguments that Snowden acted out of conscience and insisted that he should be held accountable for his actions. In their letter, the lawmakers reminded Obama that he had said in a news conference in 2013, quote, "I don't think Mr. Snowden was a patriot." In short, they wrote, "We agree with you," said the committee. "Mr. Snowden is not a patriot. He is not a whistleblower. He is a criminal." We have Mike on the line from Pittsburgh first. Good morning to you, Mike. What do you say about all this?
I would say I don't know too much about the Snowden and depth, but I would say he should be pardoned, because I think anytime someone from the inside comes out and calls out our government for doing something it shouldn't be doing, should be, they shouldn't be villainized. They should be rewarded. And that's all I have to say about that.
All right. Clarence is calling now from Lumberton, North Carolina. Good morning.
Yes, sir. Sir, I don't think that he should be pardoned because he's giving out top secret of the United States, and we need to know what other countries are doing so we can stay on top of them so that they don't overtake us. And also, if he want to give out top secret information while he's in Russia, why don't he let us know what the Russians are doing, all this hacking, all this stuff, and then go to North Korea and let us know what Kim Jong-il is doing with the nukes. And that's all I have to say, sir. Thank you very much.
All right. Should President Obama pardon Edward Snowden? That's the question here. And Alan is on the line from Bluefield, West Virginia now. Good morning to you, Alan.
Good morning, sir. When I get this information about Snowden, I'm remembering back all the way to the Gulf of Tonkin, where people were being deliberately misinformed, as far as I know. Of course, they've done a lot of verbal manipulations, but with time, that's the way it seems to have settled out with me. And I believe that's not the only time. There's been a release of an email to the effect that the bombing was not being of effect in Vietnam, yet the president at that time was saying that it was being effective. A more recent thing dealing with security that most people don't hear about or think about anymore is the dentist that obtained from Obama the DNA. As I understand it, that was one time he left the compound. The dentist removed the tooth, got a bit of his tissue to an agent to the United States, and I have a bit of medical history. I happen to have been watching TV quite a bit and did catch at that time a boast that they knew it was him by DNA. I suspect that then indicated where that information came from, and I haven't heard anything more about that dentist. Now, what I have not heard about Snowden, and perhaps you can enlighten me, is precisely what troop movements, deployments, decoding that would be current enough to mean anything or anything like that actually has been released that might cost people's lives. Although I understand, and this is something like from the Queen of Hearts, from Alice in Wonderland series, the removal of the top from the top secret materials that went to Hillary Clinton, even though I believe that emails that she had used herself with the and put the C on. Yes, she has maneuvered so that she says she does not remember, and therefore there is not the I forget the legal term for it. Deliberate violation of the law that the FBI should go on.
Thank you for calling, Alan. Let you have a good amount of time there. Let's hear from Elise now. Elise is in California, Rancho Mirage. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for taking my call. You know, I don't know how old this Snowden was when all this happened. I believe he was 23, 24 years old. And his life has been absolutely destroyed because of something that he just happened upon by accident and realized that this was important information that the American people should know about. So I would definitely encourage Barack Obama to pardon him because his life has been in shambles, a young man's life in absolute shambles, just for releasing something that he found that we should know about. So that's my opinion.
All right, and on to Victoria now in Las Vegas. Good morning, Victoria.
Good morning. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
I don't think Edward Snowden should be pardoned by the President of the United States, Barack Obama. And the reason why I say that is if Edward Snowden believed that he was doing something correct for the United States of America, then he wouldn't have run away to Russia. Why run away to Russia? And this is 2016. He's been there since 2013. So if he thought in his heart that he was doing something right for the United States of America, then he would have stayed here and he would have brought it out to the people of the United States of America and say, this is what I found. And I don't believe the last caller, he happened upon it. No, he didn't happen upon it because he was working in that department. So when he found whatever he was searching for and he found that, then he should have came out and went to the public, the United States of America, and said what he found, not bring it out and then run away to Russia and he's been there all this time. Now he wants the President of the United States of America, Barack Obama, to pardon him, and everybody says that he should be pardoned. Why should he be pardoned when he committed a crime? He committed a crime against the United States of America, and I think that he should come back to the United States of America, where he was born, where he's a citizen of the United States of America, and then he should be a man and stand up and say, this is what I did, and take whatever has coming to him. Now, I'm not saying put him in prison or all that, but I'm saying be a man, stand up. What you did, if you thought it was right, if you thought what you did was right, why did you run away? And why are you still in Russia?
Thanks for calling, Victoria. The Atlantic reports a little bit on this, and they followed up on the Guardian interview. But they do point out that Snowden has repeatedly said he wants to come back to the U.S., and in the interview, he said, in the fullness of time, I think I will end up back home. And history, he said, will be on his side. Here's a quote. Once the officials who felt like they had to protect the programs, their positions, their careers, have left government, and we start looking at things from a more historical perspective, he said, it will be pretty clear that this war on whistleblowers does not serve the interests of the United States. Rather, it harms them. Here's what the White House Press Secretary Josh Earnest had to say about all this.
I don't think it makes sense because Edward Snowden is not a whistleblower. There actually is a specific process that is well established and well protected that allows whistleblowers to raise concerns that they have, particularly when it relates to confidential or classified information, to do so in a way that protects the national security secrets of the United States. That is not what Mr. Snowden did. And his conduct put American lives at risk, and it risked American national security. And that's why the policy of the Obama administration is that Mr. Snowden should return to the United States and face the very serious charges that he's facing. He will, of course, be afforded the rights that are due to every American citizen in our criminal justice system. But we believe that he should return to the United States and face those charges.
Has he or any of his representatives made a reach out of any sort to the president?
I'm not aware of any conversations or any communications between Mr. Snowden and the President of the United States.
And to Facebook, here are a couple comments. One from Carl says yes about a pardon for Edward Snowden. The government shouldn't be spying on its own civilians like that. What terrorist have they ever stopped? You bring a little bit of clarity to government and you're a traitor? People don't think that about Hillary's emails. Shannon writes, heck no. No in capital letters there. Let him return and face justice, and after that, the POTUS can decide. Him asking for a pardon now is an admission of guilt. Even Daniel Ellsberg did not run away and refuse to face justice when he released the Pentagon Papers. Snowden is a coward, says Shannon. Let's see what George has to say now. George is in Frostburg, Maryland, calling. Good morning, George.
Good morning, Paul. How you doing this morning?
Doing fine. How are you?
Okay. Look, I'm a Vietnam veteran, and Oliver Stone is also a Vietnam veteran. He's done several movies, one Nixon, another one JFK, and this thing with Snowden. And one of the things that I agree, and most war veterans agree, that we have come to realize that our government does not be honest with the people. In my specific case, I had a security clearance during the Vietnam War, and I know all about the misinformation that was given in the Gulf of Tonkin stuff. I was in a position to know how we were being deceived. Another problem that I've had is I agree with Snowden when he says that there is a war on whistleblowers. I filed a complaint with my congressman about veterans being physically abused at a VA hospital. Their first congressman that dealt with it found the allegations were true. And, of course, he's been replaced by a new congressman. And since that time, I have been the target of unbelievable whistleblower abuse of authority retaliation. And what I've seen, trusted as this guy, the White House press secretary, says, that there are measures within the institution to address whistleblowing complaints. What I have found out in my situation is the institutions don't work, and Snowden is correct about that. And the unfortunate reality is I'm seeing my country fall apart because of institutions we trust in are failing the people, and the social unrest that is creating among our citizens is destroying this country. And it's a justifiable reason why there is social unrest in this country like it is, because unfortunately we can't trust our government. So I've been blackballed. Some of the things that have happened to me as a result of, after the other congressman left, they twisted her, they clandestinely twisted my medical records. They have portrayed me as some kind of monster in my medical records. And the unfortunate fact is, subsequent politicians in Washington looked at this and bought the lie that they told about me. So I understand the dilemma Mr. Snowden is in. He's trying to do something right, just like I did, and I got victimized for it, and so is he.
George, thank you for sharing your thoughts. Let's hear from Barry now. We have time for several more calls. Barry, should the president pardon Edward Snowden?
Absolutely not. And this is why I believe so. I believe that Edward Snowden, he should have used his chain of command within his department, and if that didn't work, he should have moved on up. He could have found a way to deal with this besides, leaving and going to Russia. All right. Now, I'm pretty sure that Russia did not give him a clemency and accept him just because he's a good old boy and decides that the American people aren't being treated right. So, in lieu of that, I think maybe that there was probably a trade that he had to make, all right, for the Russian government to back him up, and in lieu of all the hacking and all the stuff that's going on right now, I'm pretty sure that maybe the word traitor ought to be thrown in there. All right, that's just my opinion of it.
All right, thanks for calling. Let's hear from Ian now from Frederick, Maryland. Good morning to you.
Yes, hello. And thank you for C-SPAN.
You bet.
And please let me talk for a bit. I think that I got cut off like at least 2 or 3 times. But anyway, I think he should be pardoned because he's doing. They gave him. People were saying that he should go through the proper channels, like Hillary Clinton, and and even worse, Donald Trump saying he should be executed. He was looking at history, like, what's this guy's name? I'm looking up now. Thomas Andrews Drake, who worked for the NSA for 25 years. He was a senior executive there. He was a whistleblower who went through the proper channels, and he had his life ruined. And he was lucky he wasn't put in jail for, like what happened to Chelsea Manning. He's in jail for she's in jail for 35 years now. Won't get out until she's in her 50s or 60s. And so he saw what happened. They gave him no choice. I mean, when the government attacks whistleblowers, there was a guy who revealed how many billionaires had overseas accounts that were sheltering their money from taxes. He ended up getting a 4-year jail sentence. None of the people who were violating the law and refusing to pay taxes went to jail. They had to pay fines, which were nothing compared to the taxes they avoided. So this guy's a hero. How many people that worked with him that knew about this like he did were happy to take their 6-figure jobs and a nice, cushy life and stabbed their fellow Americans in the back, which is what you're doing. If you're helping an agency for the government spy on your own people, you're a traitor.
Ian, thank you for calling. Want to get a couple of other viewpoints in and hear from Adam Schiff now. He's a Democratic congressman from California, and he's the top Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee. He gave us his reaction to all this on our Newsmaker program.
Well, I think one of the facts that really leaps out to me, because it's so at odds with the Snowden narrative as he is telling it, is the vast majority of what he took has nothing to do with American privacy or the privacy rights of other people around the world. The majority of what he took, in fact, has to do with military secrets and defense secrets. And And I think that is very much at odds with the narrative that he wants to tell, that he is a whistleblower. In fact, Snowden knew about the whistleblower provisions and knew how to take advantage of them, and in fact had taken advantage of the opportunity to talk to people within the proper chain, not about privacy interests, though. That's the interesting thing. So he knew the processes that were available for him, but instead stole all of this information, went to first Hong Kong and then Russia, two places both under Chinese and Russian authority that have very little by way of privacy. And so we do intend to make public what we can. We've asked for the declassification of the entire report, and we think it's very important that the public have that information.
Congressman Adam Schiff is a Democrat from California, ranking member on the House Intelligence Committee. He taped a newsmakers interview with us yesterday. We will show the full interview this Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern and 6 p.m. Eastern right here on C-SPAN. So James is on the line now, down to our last couple of minutes. Collins, Mississippi. Good morning, James. What do you think about all this?
I think that, first, good morning. I think that a lot of the times when we listen to the media and we listen to certain commentators, it's a lot of hypocrisy going on, because I remember when President Bush and all those with 9/11 and when they had an investigation about should they impeach President Bush during the campaign, they was talking about it because of the way the Iraq no weapons of mass destruction. When the Democrats won the election, Miss Nancy Pelosi came on TV and said that we will not be impeaching President Bush. Now, you trying to tell me that the Democratic Party or this administration saying they want to charge this man? Why did Nancy Pelosi come on TV nationwide and say there will not be no impeachment of President Bush and we're going to let it go? So now you tell me that that's I mean, even if he did not do those things, why did they not impeach him, but they want to bring charges against this man? That tells you something, that when certain political campaigns win a position, they want to change their minds. So that's the thing I got. Matter of fact, it came. I think it was on C-SPAN when she made that announcement.
All right, James. Thank you. Collins, Mississippi. On to Fort Lauderdale now. Tony is on the line. Good morning, Tony.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Doing fine, sir.
There's a miracle. I find myself for the first time in my life agreeing with Adam Schiff. He, I think, put it perfectly. Snowden didn't just blow the whistle. He could have gone to the New York Times if he didn't want to go through the channels. And then he tried to shop this information. He went to 2 countries. He probably has sold it. How has he been living all this time? I mean, it's not like he's getting food stamps. He seems to be living well. And if we allow people to decide individually on a case-by-case basis which of our national secrets they are free to steal, hack into our systems, and divulge to foreign parties, then we're dead. That's all I got to say.
All right, that was Tony from Florida. Oliver Stone's new film is out in theaters today. It's called Snowden, and the style section of the Washington Post has a piece on it. It says, Snowden's a hero to some and a traitor to others. A new film could tip the scales in his favor in the tradition of Thin Blue Line and making a murderer. Overturned by the court of public opinion, they ask. Here is a short piece, runs about 1.25 minutes, from the trailer to the movie Snowden.
You're making people very happy.
Thank you.
You ready for a little action?
Oh, this looks juicy. How is this all possible? Think of it as a Google search, except instead of searching only what people make public, we're also looking at everything they don't. Emails, chats, SMS, whatever. Yeah, but which people? The whole kingdom, Snow White.
The NSA is really tracking every cell phone in the world.
Again, movie out there starting tonight. Susan is calling from Fort Myers, Florida now. Susan, should the president pardon Mr. Snowden?
No, I don't believe that he should. I pretty much am agreeing with the caller before me. What I don't understand, first of all, age has nothing to do with it, so his age at the time this happened should not have a bearing on it. I also do not understand if he felt that he had to leave. Why did he go to Russia? Couldn't he have gone to England or Germany or France, at least one of our allies? And how has he been living? Does he have a job? No. And he doesn't know, the old KGB rules are still there. And how do we know that he hasn't been manipulated, and how much he really has shared, and who has been supporting him? I think he needs to face the music. I agree with the other callers, that he could have had other areas that he could have made this public, and especially when it comes to military situation. I think this is very dangerous. It's not a virtual reality game, and it is a matter of concern. He needs to be prosecuted fairly and justly, but he needs to be prosecuted.
Thank you for calling, Susan. Bill is calling from San Antonio now. Bill, what do you think?
I don't know. I believe that Snowden performed something that good for this country, that we would have never known what our government was doing to us, and not just to us, to the rest of the world too. That's my opinion. Have a good day.
All right, you too, sir. Alan is calling now from St. Pete, Florida. Alan, what would you like to say?
Yeah, pardon him. That's what I say.
How come?
The real traitors in this country, the real traitors are both the Republican and Democratic parties who spied on the American people and committed crimes against humanity. Spy on the people of this country. Obama's covering Bush's butt by prosecuting people like Chelsea Manning, and it's bipartisan. They spy on the people of this country, and then we have people calling up and prosecute a man who blew the whistle. And while Obama ran for office promoting his constitutional lawyer credentials, saying he never prosecute whistleblowers, they're all bipartisan, totalitarian enemies of the American people. Thank you.
Thanks for calling. It's 10 o'clock here in the East, and in a couple minutes we're going to take you live to an event with Donald Trump at his newest hotel, the Trump International. It's just a couple blocks from the White House, and we're looking at this as a campaign event. We're not quite sure if he's going to talk about business or the campaign or both. Here's a tweet from Mr. Trump. I am now going to the brand new Trump International Hotel. So we'll go out there and see what he's got to say today on the campaign. And Nancy's calling from Bark River, Michigan in the meantime. Hey, Nancy. Nancy, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Go ahead, please. What do you think?
Yes, I think he should be pardoned. I think that he deeply loves the country, and we've seen what happened with whistleblowers before, and usually they're not taken serious enough for anybody to try to do anything that they're trying to tell. So I definitely think he should be, and he should be brought home where he wants to be.
Okay. That was Nancy there. Let's hear from Dana now in Jamestown, South Carolina. Good morning to you, Dana.
Good morning, sir. How you doing?
Good. Go ahead, please.
Yes, sir. I think he should be pardoned. I'll give you an example here where we live at. My wife was what you call a whistleblower on a county business. I won't call the name of it, and they used to give us work for 25 years, and they cut us slam off because she reported something that wasn't safe in the environment. And matter of fact, a few days later, one of the workers for that county agency walked up to me and called my wife the eye in the sky. The eye in the sky, which is another word for a snitch. Well, I let him know to go on. You know, what she did was right. She was looking out for children riding their bicycles through wastewater. And it really bothered me that she was called the eye in the sky. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thanks for calling. From Dana on to Gail now. Gail is in Burnham, Maine. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. I think they ought to try him for treason. I mean, I was in the service during the Vietnam War in the Navy. I was an enlisted man. And if you messed up there, they kicked you out and ruined your life with a dishonorable discharge. You can't get a job if you've got one of those. And what he did was way worse than anything I ever saw anybody do in the service. The trouble we got now with the Russians spying on us, he must have helped them. He should have been a whistleblower. That would have been okay.
Thanks for calling, Gail. While we wait for Donald Trump, some news in the overnight that sort of developed at night in the overnight from Politico and elsewhere. Mr. Trump talked more about President Obama's citizenship. We have to keep the suspense going, okay? Politico writes that Mr. Trump passed up yet another opportunity to say he accepts the fact that President Obama was born in the U.S., promising to make a major statement on Friday morning in front of his latest hotel project. And he also blamed his opponent, Hillary Clinton, for raising doubts about Obama's birthplace during the 2008 campaign, despite no evidence that she did so. So some type of major announcement today that we'll go to after this one more call from Alan in Israel, Texas. Good morning, Alan.
Hello. Thank you for taking the call. I absolutely believe that Snowden is an American hero. The overriding law in this land is supposed to be the U.S. Constitution, and the Fourth Amendment clearly and unequivocally protects Americans from unlawful searches and seizures, and whatever the intervening laws are that contradict the dictates of the Constitution are null and void there. But if you imagine, you should ask Angela Merkel if she believes that the Prime Minister of Germany, if Snowden is a felon. He is a patriot. He stuck his neck out, risked virtually everything to bring to the awareness of the American people of the humongous surveillance that each and every one of us is under. And if we want to be under that kind of surveillance by the U.S. government, then they ought to pass a constitutional amendment to that effect and revoke the Fourth Amendment.
All right, thank you for calling, Alan, and thanks to everybody who took part in this Friday edition of the Washington Journal. We'll be back tomorrow, as we are every day at 7 a.m. Eastern Time.